Hello everyone, I'm Daniel Shebib. Nikita Seth will be joining us later in the presentation, and we're going to be talking about political mobilization via media and new technology. So the purpose of this presentation is to show how recent technological developments have changed social structure, which has allowed social movements to use new tools to gain visibility. The way we're going to do it, first we're going to go through some of the structural changes, then we're going to go into some of the new tools that are now available, and finally we'll have some examples of how these tools have been used in recent years. Recent developments have replaced some of the old media, such as radio, newspapers, and flyers, with new media platforms, television and social media mainly. So apps like Facebook, Snapchat, that are completely new and are now everywhere. These new media technologies allow people to have greater access to information, easily and quickly distribute information, and to interact with people that normally you wouldn't have access to, which has important structural consequences. These new changes can be analyzed using network theory such as that developed in Tufekci and Hampton. Prior to the explosion of social media, it was typical to see small communities of strong ties. So for example, a family unit or a village. These were characterized by fewer contacts, but highly frequent contact and a lot of in-person interaction. Recently, social networks have developed to have a lot of weak ties. So this is characterized by a large number of connections, but with little interaction and potential unfamiliarity between users. This is an example of a social network. The gray circles represent strongly connected communities, whereas the gaps between them represent weak ties between those disparate communities. The key feature of modern social networks is that you have a lot of these weak ties to different communities, which allows information to spread very, very quickly. This highly connected network structure and rapid spread of information gives modern communities the property of pervasive awareness. This is the idea that modern communities have an informal watchfulness of the information going on in the network. What this means is basically that word spreads really quickly and that you have an enduring set of relations that can be activated by social actors to drive social change. One key new tool that social actors use is viral information. So virality is the idea that a piece of information gets spread really rapidly to a variety of audiences. This relies upon a large number of weak ties and a high connectivity within the social network that is afforded by modern technology. Some examples include the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, which were able to spread very quickly through communities that might not have been directly involved with the social action.
Groups can take advantage of the effect of virality for the effect of social movements. Social movements are generally actions geared towards social change, such as the Facebook scroll, the 2011 Egypt uprising, any modern political movements, or even the climate change movement. Movements can only exist, and they do exist because of a concept called collective action. Collective action is just simply actions done by a group of people who have the same objective and common goal. So essentially, any social movement, or even anything that goes viral, can arguably be under the idea of collective action. Everything that has been discussed up till now can exist without new media heavily influencing it. However, to look at this critically in relation to new media and the exponential growth of new media, we have to look at something called algorithmic governance. This is essentially where data is collected through various channels, often through platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and are used to determine patterns. This is generally used to increase efficiencies in different programmings. The first half of what we spoke about today are usually points of empowered movements. However, as technology changes, there are many limiting factors. Algorithmic governance can often be that because they often helps promote and induce bias in what we look at. Ultimately, all these concepts can be exemplified in how Facebook was used to organize movements like the March for Science. The March for Science is a protest that takes place to support climate change and took place across multiple cities, across the nation, and even across the world. This was a complete grassroots movement that had gone viral, allowing for collective action to be taken and to create a social movement. Algorithms across different platforms helped promote the event, having groups of like-minded people find and attend the event. Ultimately, all these